my clients are moving to Texas because of the recent
What kind
Toyota.
of small business is it?
It's a yoga studio.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I see. And your clients were working for places like Toyota.
Toyota. Yeah. So first question is, what do you see with that move to Texas for this area? Do you have any thoughts on it?
Absolutely. So I think I'll just start by saying we have to be really clear about what happened with Toyota and what didn't happen with Toyota, because there are some particular lobbying groups that try to take a certain situation and spin it as one thing. I don't think it's clear to us that Toyota moved because of the tax incentives in Texas versus California. I think there's been a lot of quotes from the CEO saying it was other things. That said, there's certainly other businesses who have left because of those kinds of questions. And it's a very difficult challenge because on the one hand, we have to keep jobs here locally, and it doesn't impact just the people who work for Toyota. It impacts people in service and all of the other industries, as you said. You know, my dad worked in manufacturing the whole time I was growing up, worked in a factory, and we watched factories come in and say that they were the ones that were going to stay and not leave the U.S., and then they would go and the next one would come in. And I saw that cycle of him being laid off every few years. So I often challenge some of my progressive colleagues that we have to keep in mind how important it is to have jobs locally, and that can't be sacrificed. That has to be combined with our other priorities. So that has to be balanced with the fact that we don't want to live in Texas, because Texas does not have the kind of protections for employees or investment in services and in the public good that all of us care about. And so we've got to figure out, okay, how do we make progress without making California into Texas, but ensuring that we do have good paying jobs that feed our community? So one of the areas that we can do that is by reinvesting in our infrastructure. We've not been doing that adequately. That's why our infrastructure is crumbling. We're at an incredibly important point to be able to invest on some of the environmental progress aspects of it so that we are creating those kinds of jobs. It's things like investing in early childhood education is also going to create jobs for a lot of women, particularly, who are providers in that sector. So some of it is thinking about which kinds of jobs we can create to pick up that slack. On small businesses in particular, I think there is a tendency, unfortunately, to treat all corporations the same or all businesses the same. Some corporations are two people, right? And we need to make sure that we are encouraging in our communities the kinds of businesses, the kinds of employers that we want to have, and that's often small business, because they often pay the kind of wages that we want to see workers making and that they're contributing to the community. So if we don't want Walmart and big box stores in our communities, then we have to keep the jobs there other ways by making sure we're providing incentives for small business in the process.
Issue in the state of California, thanks to Mulholland. I mean, we have water down here, but we don't really have water. And I drive around the neighborhoods and I see people watering, and I mean, I live in a really nice neighborhood in Hermosa Beach, and every day I see this one guy literally washing his house. And he has his own intentions in doing what he needs to do. So, with that in mind, what do you see with water as a major issue, which could become worse in this area?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. So there's a few things that we need to do. Number one is we need to do what we can locally to solve our problem locally. Because just like we talk about dependence on foreign oil, we're kind of in a situation where we've got some dependence on foreign water going on. And so we as Southern California communities need to take the actions that we can. One of those is conservation. He needs to stop washing his house. Okay, like at least take it down to quarterly or something. I don't even clean the inside of my house that frequently. I'm on a campaign, don't judge me. So conservation has to happen. I'm really glad to see folks like Hannah Beth Jackson, one of the senators who's backing me, up on the airwaves talking to people about how they can conserve. And we're already better in this part of the state than the rest is, but a study came out recently showing that our use actually went up, even though we're in the drought, and it should have been going the opposite direction. So we have room for improvement in conservation through some public education, some coordination of multiple municipalities getting together. The other strategies, and these are the ones that I'm sort of more excited about because they're new, is that we can start recycling water more aggressively, and there's a lot that we can do at the state level to help municipalities to get in on that game. Orange County is doing a better job than we are on recycling water. Is everyone okay with Orange County being better at something? Because I'm not. The only thing Orange County gets to be better at is Republican registration of voters, all right? And in fact, they're actually going blue, so we've got some competition coming. So there's a lot more that we can be doing around gray water uses and really helping municipalities to move us forward there. There's also capture of rainwater. And right now we've got 50 to 80% of our rainwater running off each time. So we need to get incentives in place so that homeowners can take action and so that larger entities can as well. Thank goodness the legislature is starting to take some action. They did pass a water bond for the ballot this fall. It's not perfect. It has some concerns, but it doesn't have the governor's plan around the pipes, tubes coming down from Northern California. So that's positive that that's not in there. And I'm actually really encouraged by the fact that we're going to start regulating groundwater use for the first time. Okay. So we just passed this, and that's a big, massive step forward to actually see us do that. Because one part of the problem is that we have these centuries-old legal water rights that agriculture in the center of the state is taking some advantage of, and we're the ones who are trying to figure out a way out of that. So this is progress to have that kind of legislation getting through.